Every town has a place that feels wrong. Not haunted in the dramatic way movies like to pretend. No doors slamming, no ghostly screams. Just a quiet pressure behind your ribs the moment you arrive. Like the air itself is encouraging you to turn around and pretend you were never there. For the town of Briar Hollow, that place was the old train station. The station sat where the road ended and the marsh began. A sagging concrete platform surrounded by rusted rails that disappeared into fog. The trains had stopped running decades ago, but the station stayed. During the day, it looked harmless, just another forgotten piece of infrastructure slowly sinking back into the earth. At night, it felt different. The fog rolled in thicker there than anywhere else in town. Headlights dimmed slightly when cars passed by. Radios crackled even when the signal was strong. And there was always a smell in the air. Not rot, not decay. Something colder. Like damp soil freshly turned over. Like the ground had been opened and closed again. Most people avoided that place after sunset. Not because anyone told them to. Because instinct told them to. The first person who vanished was a teenager named Trevor Bell. 16, quiet kid. He liked walking everywhere because he said it helped him think. One night, he cut across the abandoned rail line to get home faster. He never arrived. Search teams found his phone the next morning near the edge of the platform. The screen was cracked but still glowing. It had recorded video, only 30 seconds long. Mostly fog, mostly Trevor breathing nervously as he walked. But when investigators played the audio back carefully, they heard something else. Another breath. Slow, heavy, patient. And just before the recording ended, Trevor's camera dipped toward the edge of the platform. The darkness beneath looked deeper than it should have. Not shadow, depth. And then the video ended. The sheriff called it an animal attack. That explanation made everyone feel better. But the search team noticed something strange. Animals fight when they hunt. They claw. They tear. Trevor's phone wasn't surrounded by any signs of a struggle. The mud near the platform showed only one thing. Long drag marks. Slow ones. After Trevor disappeared, the smell got worse. Searchers noticed it first. The closer they got to the platform, the stronger it became. Cold dirt, wet stone, fresh earth. One of the volunteers knelt near the edge and pressed his hand to the ground. He jerked it away instantly. The concrete felt warm, like something beneath it was breathing. They searched for days. They brought dogs. The dogs refused to go near the platform. They planted their paws in the mud and whined until the handlers dragged them away. And nobody found Trevor. The second disappearance came 3 weeks later. A hospital janitor named Donnie Crane. His car was found idling near the station, driver's door open, keys still in the ignition. Donnie had lost his wife earlier that year. Friends said he'd been quiet ever since. Not dramatic about it, just tired. That word kept coming up. Tired. Over the next year, more people vanished. A truck driver, a waitress, a traveling salesman who'd stopped in town for the night. All of them had been alone. All of them had been near the station. And all of them, according to friends or family, had said the same thing in the days before they disappeared. They were tired. Just tired. A retired school teacher named Miriam Halverson noticed the pattern before anyone else admitted there was one. Miriam kept newspaper clippings in envelopes. She circled dates, connected names with pencil lines. At first, she thought it was coincidence. But the more she looked, the clearer the pattern became. Everyone who disappeared had something else in common. They were all carrying something heavy. Grief, exhaustion, regret. Not the loud kind people talk about openly. The quiet kind that settles into a person's bones. Miriam tried to show the sheriff her notes. He flipped through them, sighed, and told her she was seeing connections that weren't there. She asked him one question before leaving. "Have you ever stood near that platform at night?" The sheriff didn't answer. He just told her to go home. 2 months later, Miriam died in her sleep. Her envelopes disappeared, and Briar Hollow went back to pretending the pattern didn't exist. Holloway came to Briar Hollow in late October. He wasn't a local. He was a rail inspector sent by the state to document the abandoned line before it was officially removed. To Holloway, the station was just another forgotten structure, a job site. He parked his truck near the platform in the late afternoon and began taking measurements. The concrete sagged slightly in the middle. The metal supports underneath were stained darker than they should have been, and the marsh beyond the tracks felt quiet. Too quiet. Still, Holloway kept working. The sun dipped lower. Fog rolled in from the marsh, thick and low. By the time Holloway noticed how dense it had become, the rails had already vanished into white. And that's when he heard it. Breathing. Slow, heavy, close enough to feel, far enough to doubt. At first, he thought it was wind, and then he leaned over the edge of the platform and saw something move beneath it. At first, it looked like a man standing in the shadows, tall, thin, wrapped in what might once have been a coat. It stood with its back turned, shoulders hunched as if it had been waiting a long time. "Hey," Holloway called down. "You all right down there?" The figure didn't respond. Instead, it tilted its head. The breathing stopped, and slowly, it turned. Holloway realized instantly that whatever stood beneath the platform wasn't human. Its mouth opened too wide, not stretched in a scream, just open, ready. Its teeth were crowded together, worn flat like stones ground smooth by water. Its skin looked gray and packed with dirt, as if the earth itself had tried to reclaim the body but stopped halfway through. And its eyes, those eyes didn't reflect Holloway's flashlight. They swallowed the light completely. The ghoul stepped forward, not quickly, not aggressively, slow, measured, like it knew there was no need to hurry, like it had been waiting for Holloway long before he arrived. Holloway said the worst part wasn't the creature, it was what happened next, because the ghoul didn't speak out loud. Instead, thoughts began surfacing in Holloway's mind. Memories he hadn't thought about in years, regrets, missed chances, people he'd stopped calling, moments when he'd chosen the easier path and told himself it didn't matter. The weight of those thoughts settled into his chest, and with every heavy memory, the ghoul stepped closer. That's when Holloway understood. The creature didn't hunt people. It waited. It waited for the moment when someone's spirit slowed. The moment when a person wondered if continuing even mattered. That quiet second of surrender. That pause. That was what it fed on. Holloway lifted his flashlight. The beam cut through the darkness behind the ghoul. And for a moment, he saw them. Faces pressed into the earth. Eyes open. Bodies half buried beneath the platform like fossils. Not dead. Not alive. Just listening. The whispering grew louder. Low voices beneath the soil. Not screaming, not begging, just breathing, waiting. The ghoul lifted one hand, long fingers, joints bending wrong, nails packed with mud. Holloway felt his knees soften. He could step down, just one step, into the quiet, into the rest. The whispering sounded gentle now, inviting. Then, somewhere far away, a train horn sounded. Not close, not meant for Briar Hollow. Just a freight train miles away announcing its passage through empty countryside. The sound cut through the fog like a blade. The ghoul recoiled instantly. It folded backward into the darkness beneath the platform like something pulled by a chain. The whispering stopped. Holloway snapped out of it and ran. They found Holloway hours later sitting on the tracks miles from town. When the sheriff asked what happened, Holloway whispered something that made the room fall silent. "It doesn't kill them." The town approved a demolition within a week. Heavy machinery arrived before sunrise. Workers avoided looking beneath the platform as chains tightened around the concrete slab. The first pull cracked the foundation. The second tore a section open. Cold air rushed out of the darkness beneath. One worker looked inside. His face went pale. Later he would say he saw shapes in the soil. Human shapes. Eyes staring upward through packed dirt. And then the whispering began. Soft. Layered. Breathing. The machine stalled. The workers ran. And Briar Hollow sealed the platform again. They poured fresh concrete, built a fence, and pretended nothing had happened. Holloway disappeared 2 nights later. His motel room was untouched except for one piece of paper left on the pillow. It contained a single sentence. "It doesn't live under the platform. It lives in the pause." So if you ever find yourself alone late at night, standing somewhere quiet, feeling that strange urge to stop walking, don't. Because the ghoul doesn't chase people. It waits for them to stop on their own. And by the time you hear the breathing, you've already been standing there too long. If you enjoyed tonight's story, make sure you subscribe to Midnight Delight for more dark tales and late night nightmares just like this one. And if you're listening somewhere quiet, maybe take a second to look around before you turn the lights off. Because some things don't chase you in the dark. They just wait for you to stop moving. Good night.